Welcome to the PTTS. Today's day is February 3rd, 2026. My name is Neng Hong Lam. Pretty much this video is on basically like Bastard Retribution Paradox Incognito is based on like mainly like true events in my life that were very controversial, that it's very hard to talk about and things like that. So all like pretty much one of the scene, basically this video is on one of the scene that one or like I don't know, I get used to this kind of scene, but since I'm writing in a form like a book, so it's more like part of a chapter and things like that. But I'm just getting used to just calling scene and things like that because of them being a club president of the Mason Multimedia Club, so I often use the word scene. Anyway, so back to what I'm talking about. So pretty much one of the scene is like I'm one of the character in that book. So like pretty much like I also like going by my name Neng Hong Lam. That's one of the character in that the Bastard Retribution Paradox Incognito that I'm writing about. So pretty much, and it's based on true events of my life, and I'm one of that character, and also it's just very controversial events. These true events is very controversial and it's just very hard to talk about, and it's just so in like pretty much it's like I don't know, maybe I don't know what will happen, is maybe, should it, kind of like I've been saying a lot of time, maybe angel of mercy, gave me that tiny bit of mercy that, should have just strangled me to death, when I was still a baby, learn how to walk and talk, it's like, anyway, like I'm saying, pretty much, like, it just, I don't know what will happen to me, maybe I get shot and get run over, like, someone really actually drive a car into me, no metaphor or simile or like, some kind of figurative language or something. A person actually drive a car into me, run me over, kill me at the scene. Not talking about any figurative, simile, metaphor, anything like that. Anyway, pretty much like it's around 2010, 2011. I remember serve around like almost 3 to 4 years of club presidency. It's like I'm taking up a lot of my time to provide this club president responsibility and duty of the Mason Multimedia Club. Take out a lot of my time. Remember, it's like, in that 3 or 4 year, could have graduated in the San Diego Mesa College, but I didn't put all those time. It's like I'm beating up myself very hard. It's like keep, and not one person have acknowledged me that as club president. Yet I put out like 3 or 4 years of my time serving my club president responsibility and duty, and not one person in San Diego have acknowledged me as a club president. So I was just really upset, you know, maybe it was just kind of like, felt like it's being set up the whole time. You know, it's like, anyway, like I was just really kind of like in a way, and felt like, you know, going back, it was like I only have like one or two class that I need to finish and I could get associate degree, you know, yet I served the 3 to 4 years of club president before I just finish that one class and get my associate degree. And you know, at least it's better than nothing, you know, just saying like I have associate degree, you know, in college, you know, it's better than nothing, you know, just finish that. I think like, you know, it depends, you know, like if I take, because it depends, one or two class, you know, if I take a history class with cultural influence, then only need to take one class. If I, so kind of like in a way, you know, it depends, you don't have one or two class and I could get my associate degree. So instead, you know, like I served 3 to 4 years instead of finishing my associate degree and just get it out of the way, you know, at least saying that I have an associate degree in colleges. This is like I was saying, 2010 to 2011. My club presidency ended December 2011. So this is around that time. That's why it's around 3 to 4 years. Not so. Anyway, like I was really pretty much, you know, this scene is in like in the Ambassador Retribution Paradox Incognito, pretty much the scene, and I was talking to another character about it, you know, it's just like pretty much I really just break down and start crying in my room, you know, just like, you know, just this world just so unfair, you know, it's like I sacrifice so much, you know, it's just like not one person would acknowledge me as club president. So anyway, and then it was just like, felt like, you know, I was gonna strangle myself to death or something before I even gonna show myself again, you know, just so. And then it was just like in this really tough turmoil that locked myself in the room and just want to strangle myself to death. And it's like, and then in this really tough turmoil, it was like, you know, the gods, you know, like in my sleep gave me a sign that even in the coldest snowstorm, there is still life. And it's just like, you know, this snowstorm going on, and then on like all this snow, there's like a leaf that is sprouted out of a log that has been covered with snow and everything. So it's sort of like, in a way, you know, even though it's just like a dream in my sleep, but I felt like, you know, it's the God who's giving me this sign that, you know, there is still life in this world and things like that. So like I see this sign as, you know, like God is sparing my life, you know, telling me that there is still life in this world, that I don't have to strangle myself to death. And it's even more, kind of like in a way, the reason why I strangle myself to death is I want to self-blame myself on putting a lot of effort on journalism. Kind of like in a way, I felt like that was the journalism, you know, being accepted as a journalist of the Beachcomber, that is beating overwhelming odds, you know, just like the thought of want to self-criticizing myself about that, which make me even want to strangle myself to death even more. It's like, anyway, so I go with this sign, the winter leaf sign, that it is God sparing my life, telling me that there is still life in this world. So basically, I use this sign, the winter leaf sign, as God spare my life. So to accept and forgive myself for what happened. And so pretty much I continue on with this and, like write a story on winter leave as like a self-help, kind of like in a way to guide me through this very tough time of my life. So kind of like in it, I really didn't, the whole time I just thought it was God giving me the winter leaf sign as a sign that God spare my life, telling me that there's still life in this world. I just didn't know that I'm jealous, journalism, and then just because I was so, like I'm saying, this is really tough time of my life, and just didn't know people would find out about winter leave, and so pretty much it's where all the controversy started. But I just didn't know people that I have so much intel on me, I just didn't know that I have so much intel on me that the moment I start writing, the whole world know about it and everything. I just couldn't, it's just really hard for me to get out of my room, it just felt like sacrifice 3 to 4 years of my life serving as club president. Could have got my associate degree, just take about one semester, that's all I need, and sacrifice 3 to 4 years serving as club president. And it's just like, and just, I don't know, like I felt it was like, I just really felt like it was kind of really hard to deal with it, that I felt like vibing all these arguments, and so I felt very weighted down and everything. So kind of like in a way, like I was saying earlier, just like no one acknowledged me as club president. Pretty much, just even though I didn't say like that during that time, but that's like I was saying, that's how it's like. In other words, is I just couldn't get out of my room. I couldn't do anything. Just couldn't face the world. And it's just like the only way for me to kind of like, I don't know, like it's just really, I kind of like the winter leave kind of like just guide me, guide me out, out of my room and give me a chance to see the world again. So like but yet, like I'm saying, I just didn't know I have all this intel on me. Once I wrote it, and all of a sudden the world know about it and things like that. I only took Psychology 101, just barely, cognitive in one of the chapters, explain a little bit about dream. I mean, you could go further. Maybe they'll explain, in more psychological term what is dream and everything. Like I'm saying, I only took Psychology 101, and that's only introductory level. I don't know, like I'm not trying to, make fun of Psychology 101, but like, you watch the Yu-Gi-Oh TV series where one of the episodes they're talking about dream, and it seems like it is even more in-depth than the Psychology 101, the introductory level on one of the chapters talk about like the cognitive, and explain a little bit about dream and things like that. Pretty much the story Winter Leave is interpretation of that dream I had on God sparing my life, giving me that sign during my sleep. I had that dream where God spared my life by giving me that sign when to leave. And also, it is like my family and relative and surrounding and back in the poor feudal countryside of Song Ba, Vietnam, saying like it is like a dream come true to able to immigrate to the USA. So kind of like in a way, like I've basically that story pretty much, is going with all the talks back in Song Ba, Vietnam, where they talk about dream come true, able to immigrate to the USA, and then combined with that dream that where I had with the God spare my life by giving me that sign when to leave. So just an interpretation of both of that, and wrote that story. Also, it is a guide for me to able to get out of my room and face the world once again. It's so help guy. Just really, it was at the point just like crying, like just want to strangle myself to death. It's like pretty much that's what like in the bastard retribution paradox incognito. That's what I told that character, that it was because of the sign that because God spared my life and gave me that sign when to leave. That is why I wrote that story. And at the same time, I didn't know there was so much intel on me that the world had found out about it that moment I wrote it. So sort of like in a way, that character was asking me, why do I betray when to leave when they saved my life? So pretty much, then almost some months later, almost a year, like basically on December 2011, I just burned all my writing in the fire, I just didn't know I have so much intel on me. I thought all my writings are burned in the fire. I just didn't know. I thought nobody because all my writings burned in the fire, so I thought nobody know about it. I just didn't know there was so much intel on me. So pretty much, like saying controversy events like this, how you kind of like in a way that was like the only way is through bastard retribution paradox incognito that's able to talk about these kind of controversial events. But anyway, it just doesn't end, sort of like in a way the winter leaf didn't end there when I burned it in the fire and I thought nobody know about it. It just didn't end there. Kind of like I have to keep pausing this video because it's just very intense topics. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So, kind of like, I hate saying this, that it's like an irony, it's like just when I thought my life couldn't get any worse than winter leave, it's like kind of like in a way it's like I handwritten that whole story and I burn it in the fire and nobody know about it. Somehow I got intel on me and the world know about it. That is why I say just when I thought my life couldn't get any worse than when to leave. For that reason. Oh God. Yet, just for that moment when I able to step out of my room, I thought that was, the effect of winter leaf. For a moment, I really thought The argument is, come on, Winterleaf saved my life. How can I not appreciate Winterleaf? I was saying, I just didn't, somehow I don't know how the intel got on me. So, like I'm saying, it's all in the fire, it's burning all in the fire. Just didn't know, like I'm saying, just didn't know what I just was really in a tough time of my life and just didn't foresee these intels that was on me and things like that. Kind of like for a very second, I just had that thought, it's like, God spare my life. I'm able to step out of my room, and it's a triumphant story. So basically, for that very moment, that very second, that very moment, that was that one thought at that time. It's like, just I say at that very moment, just didn't see that. Just thought the weights of it and everything. I just didn't see all of that. Just at that very moment, I just thought, it's God spare my life. Able to step out of my room, a triumphant story. Kind of like in a way, was just so far away from all the, the worst luck of my life. The worst luck of my life, the worst time of my life. And also, like, I didn't know about the intel on me and all of that. So, like, in a way, and I thought it was burning the fire and nobody know about it. So pretty much, later, like I quickly, like some months later, or almost a year, basically on December 11th, I thought, I burned all my writing in the fire. And nobody know about it and things like that. It's like, okay, so the reason I'm able to talk about it, because this video I'm gonna see it as another progress report for Bastard Retribution Paradox Incognito. That's why I'm able to talk about this very controversial event in my life. Pretty much in the introduction and then throughout the story, throughout the chapters, I would kind of emphasize that it is a very sad story. Also, like in the YouTube channel, like the one that I have already uploaded on, like the progress report that Bastard Retribution Paradox Incognito progress report video that I have uploaded on my YouTube channel. Sort of in a way, I also want to emphasize that very controversial events and filled it with a lot of sadness. I mean, the reason I didn't question how this intel on me is because how did God know I was trapped? Kind of like in a way, that's why I didn't question how this intel on me. Like I was saying, it was really tough time in my life. Just didn't really think it through. I'm struggling against. In this tough time, was struggling really hard. Just really didn't think about the intel and everything. I think more or less I have to deny the following. Kind of like in a way that, someone's telling me. I mean, I like just haven't really, not a lot, like people really don't talk about me as a journalist of the beachcomber, or in general haven't really come to having talk with someone about that beside my, like the advisor of the beachcomber. His name is Kurt Bryan, and the chief of the beachcomber, her name is Julia, beside them, because they're like my supervisor. Basically, like I'm just saying, that's why I have to deny these thoughts of, like, I felt like, sort of talks is about me, kind of like in a way, like, sort of, basically, like, why do I have to become a journalist of the beachcomber, sort of like story all over me, kind of like in a way, all these controversial events in my life, each of them is like a story, so why do I need to become a journalist of the beachcomber? Like I'm saying, I just want to just deny this, because it's not a lot, like I just haven't really met people that have talked with about me as a journalist of the beach, and just rarely have meet people that get into those talk with them about me as a journalist of the beachcomber, other than the advisor and the chief, who are my supervisor. I mean, even as they're my super, but I mean, they don't, sort of like in a way they're giving me leads and suggestion that how, sort of like leads and suggestion tips and things like that, it's just part of supervising and things like that. Okay, anyway, like I'm just saying, okay, this video is going on too long, and also I keep been pausing because it's a very intense topic. Anyway, so I've been like making a lot of pauses in between. Anyway, it's going too long, so I'm just gonna wrap it up. So pretty much it's like, basically Winter Leaf didn't just end there, and I like it's saying, and it's just one of the events, but it connects to other it's one of the controversial events that connect to the other controversial. I don't know, like it could be, like insane, could escalate it, could be connected, related, kind of like in a way. Yet it was supposed to, I don't know, like, because it's just the controversy involved in it, sort of like the word triumph, it just I haven't used the word triumph so far, like throughout this whole video, because of the controversy on it. At the same time, for a second I thought nobody know about it. I thought it's burned in the fire, nobody know about it. Okay, so thank you for watching PTTS. Thank you for following PTTS. I'm gonna end this video in 3, 2, 1.